Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Matthew Conlon. We're talking about D&D stuff today. Today's the introduction to the Hordemaster Barbarian, a barbarian path. The Hordemaster gets 5 class features: Iron Will and Infectious Rage at level 3, Summoning the Rage Spawn at level 6, Boiling Blood at level 10, and Hatemonger at level 14. I'll outline what each of these abilities does. There will be some doodles to try and zazz that up, and hopefully we can tighten up the length of these videos a little bit. We'll start with Iron Will. Iron Will is a bundle of abilities that affect not only the barbarian's rage and how it works, but also provides a couple of proficiencies or expertise if you're already proficient. If you are not already proficient in Persuasion and Performance Oratory, now you are. If you are already proficient in those skills, you get to double your proficiency bonus. In addition, when a Hordemaster Barbarian is raging, they get resistance to psychic damage and get temporary hit points equal to their charisma modifier at the beginning of each of their turns. That is definitely not as good as some of the other resistances other types of barbarians get, but I wanted to give them something to ablate a little more damage without just piling on resistances. And since it's not as good, it allowed me to beef up some of the other abilities they got. Additionally, the Barbarian's unarmored defense, instead of using their con bonus, they can choose to use their charisma bonus for that. I thought that's a fun sort of twist where maybe the Barbarian is just so intimidating that foes that go to attack them just sort of hesitate a little more, or find the strength of their blows weakened as they lose their grip on their weapon or their knees become weak. So that's another direction to go when you think of that. So we covered our proficiencies, our unarmored defense, and our rage bonuses. So here we have Iron Will. Its primary purpose is to modify rage by giving you additional temporary hit points at the beginning of your turn, like the Heroism spell, as well as resistance to psychic damage. In addition to those, it lets allies replace their Constitution checks to avoid exhaustion with your Performance Oratory check, and it gives you proficiency or expertise in Persuasion and, I want to say, Performance Oratory. Now let's move on to Infectious Rage. Infectious Rage is a separate feature, just has a better name because it has a more distinct effect. Next up, we have Infectious Rage. From here on out, instead of having to use a bonus action, you can choose to activate your rage as soon as you roll initiative. That can be good, it can be bad. If you do, a number of allies, 4 of your allies, can add your charisma bonus to their own initiative checks and your charisma bonus to the damage of the first melee attack they make during the first round of combat. And that's just a handy kind of ability. And that's Infectious Rage. Moving on to the level 6 ability, Summoning the Rage Spawn. Here's a doodle. Next up, we have Summoning the Rage Spawn. This is a very thematic ability. You learn a ritual where you get to spend a rage and anoint your allies in blood. Ritual takes 10 minutes. And it gives them a kind of double-edged death ward effect. More on that. So Summon the Rage Spawn is a very thematic ability where you're basically summoning a kind of evil rage spirit to inhabit one of your allies' bodies, and if they would normally die, instead they transform into a sort of mindless, destructive version of themselves. When they use this ability, they replace some of their abilities with the Rage Spawn template abilities, and they retain some of their abilities the way templates work. So if they were a Dragonborn resistant to fire, they'd get to resist fire, but they'd also gain the Rage Spawn damage resistances. Additionally, they can only multi-attack or dash during their turn. They can't take defensive actions, they can't disengage. All they do is attack continuously or move towards things to attack. When the transformation ends, either because they've been reduced to 0 hit points again, or the Barbarian themselves chooses to end a rage early, all of the rage spawn transformations that they've created end as well. So that's a way to get your ally out of the fight if they've become more of a liability. The ability is very potent in that you can kind of death ward multiple allies at the cost of a ritual and one of your rages, but at the same time they can become a liability on the battlefield because the rage spawn just attack the nearest creature. Friend or foe, they don't distinguish. I think it's a really fun ability. I've seen it in play. It's great for the bad guys to have too. And I thought that thematic idea of where, you know, you put blood on your ally's forehead and then it transforms into this crazy sigil and their eyes roll back in their head and just become these blood red orbs. And then they start to just attack whatever's closest to them. Very thematic, a lot of fun. Here we have the Boiling Blood ability. It serves two purposes. Either you can use your reaction to deal some reactive damage, or you can spend hit dice to create this cone effect by vomiting acidic blood all over your foes. It's potent, but costly. And that leads us to the Hate Monger ability at level 14. You get the Vicious Mockery cantrip and the ability to cast that cantrip as a bonus action while raging. You just vomit out a diatribe so quickly in the midst of your attacks that it can degrade your enemy's effectiveness. Very thematic, very fun, and admittedly, while level 14 you're dealing 3d4 damage with it, it's going to be based on your charisma, so the saving throw might be pretty good or kind of middling, because as a Hordemaster Barbarian you've had to improve your strength, your constitution, and your charisma, possibly dex as well. So a variety of very potent abilities that will have middling effectiveness because your to hit bonus might be a little lower than an optimized Barbarian. Your resistances might be a little bit less than a Bear Totem Barbarian, etc. And that just goes into how I view balance. I've seen this class at the table. It is super fun to watch. Watching all of the Barbarian's allies flee their own companion, taking the hide action to hide behind things while the enemies are like, what's going on? When the rage spawn stands up and just starts to bash everything to pieces. It's a lot of fun. And I hope you guys check it out. It's available on the DMsguild right now. I'll put a link in the description. Please like, share, and subscribe, and then hit the bell icon so you can get more of these intros to obscure subclasses you can find on DMsguild. Or follow my Dragon Ball Broly and Chilai content. My Janemba video should be up next week. Hopefully by the end of this weekend I will also get up an entire class introduction for a class I wrote up called the Summoner. I may have posted the trailer to it to public YouTube, in which case I was just playing around with the trailer function on my phone. So don't hold me to that too closely. But yeah, all of my stuff is available on DMsguild.com for pay what you want, or probably less than $1. And I look forward to seeing you back here next time. Stay safe and have a great day.